The morning sun glints off Mercer Technologies' 50-story glass headquarters in downtown Chicago. Executives in tailored suits stride through revolving doors, while service workers slip quietly through side entrances marked "Staff Only." In the back of a black Bentley, Elena Mercer trades her designer outfit for a plain waitress uniform. Her driver Thomas watches concerned as she pulls her chestnut hair into a simple ponytail, applies minimal makeup, and removes her diamond wedding ring. "Are you certain about this, Mrs. Mercer?" Thomas asks. 2 weeks, Thomas. Nobody needs to. No, especially James. She tucks her ring into her purse, which Thomas will safeguard until her shift ends. Minutes later, Elena Martinez enters the bustling kitchen of the executive dining room on the 49th floor. Her heart pounds as the head chef gives her a hurried orientation before thrusting her into the morning service. The executive dining room gleams with understated luxury, white tablecloths and floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic city views. Elena moves between tables, suddenly aware of her invisibility. Executives she's met at galas look straight through her. Bradley Cooper, the chief marketing officer, sits alone at a corner table fixated on his phone. Without looking up, he snaps his fingers in Elena's direction like summoning a dog. Elena approaches, swallowing her indignation. "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you?" Bradley doesn't look up. "Coffee, black." Her hands tremble slightly as she pours, unaccustomed to such dismissal. 3 drops of coffee land on the pristine tablecloth. Bradley's head snaps up. "Are you incompetent or just stupid?" he hisses loudly. "Do you know what this suit costs? More than you'll make in a month." Elena's throat tightens as she frantically dabs at the tablecloth. Around them, executives chuckle or pretend not to notice her humiliation. Only David Chen, the new VP of Product Development, looks uncomfortable, though he says nothing. That evening, Elena enters her penthouse with its spectacular city view. She's back in designer clothes, but something has changed in her eyes. "How was your charity meeting?" James asks, kissing her cheek as he hands her a glass of wine. "Eye-opening," she answers carefully, fingering her wedding ring. She moves to the window, gazing down at the tiny lights below. "I think it's going to be a very productive project." As James turns away for a business call, Elena wonders if she can endure 2 weeks of her experiment. The next morning, she silently refills water glasses as Bradley holds court with fellow executives. "First round of cuts will target the dead. Wait in service staff," he announces smugly. "Why keep paying benefits to people who could be replaced tomorrow? It's just good business." The men nod in agreement, not one acknowledging Elena's presence as she stands beside them, invisible yet hearing everything. A ghost in her husband's kingdom, seeing it now through new eyes. In her luxurious bathroom that evening, Elena stares at her reflection, the memory of that day's humiliation still burning in her chest. As she wipes away her waitress makeup, her mind drifts to another bathroom mirror from years ago, cramped and cracked, where she'd practiced smiling through exhaustion after double shifts. Elena Martinez Mercer wasn't born into wealth. The daughter of Maria Martinez, a hotel housekeeper who raised her alone in a 1-bedroom apartment in Chicago's working-class neighborhood, Elena knows the weight of invisible labor. She remembers her mother's cracked hands, the way she'd return home after 14-hour days yet still find energy to help with homework. "People might not see you," her mother had told her, "but that doesn't make you invisible." Elena worked as a waitress through college, balancing trays and textbooks, fighting for every scholarship dollar, every opportunity. Her economics degree came with honors but also with debt and calluses. She earned her way into the corporate world through brilliance and determination, becoming a junior analyst at TechVision. It was during a joint venture meeting that she first met James Mercer. While other executives dismissed her suggestions, James recognized her insight. He approached her afterward, not with flirtation but with respect, asking questions about her analysis. Their relationship grew from intellectual admiration to love, 2 ambitious minds finding partnership. Now, As Elena applies expensive night cream to her face, she wonders when James stopped seeing the invisible people who make his empire function. She loves him still, his vision, his kindness toward her, but she fears what power has blinded him to. In their bedroom, James reviews quarterly reports, his face illuminated by his tablet's glow. The employee satisfaction metrics are concerning, he murmurs. What does Bradley say about it? Elena asks, watching carefully. Growing pains. He says it's normal with rapid expansion. James sets the tablet aside. The Foundation Scholarship Gala is next month. Bradley thinks we should reduce the number of recipients this year, focus on quality over quantity. Elena's chest tightens, thinking of what she's learned today. In the kitchen at work, Elena meets Sophia Rodriguez, a veteran waitress with warm eyes and efficient movements who patiently corrects Elena's mistakes. You've never done this before, Sophia observes without judgment, showing Elena how to balance multiple plates. During their break, Sophia shares stories of her daughter Maya, a brilliant student dreaming of medical school. The Mercer Scholarship was a miracle, Sophia confides. Maya is the first in our family to attend college. Elena's heart sinks, remembering James's words about the scholarship cuts. David Chen, the young executive who'd watched her humiliation silently, nods politely when she serves him coffee. Unlike Bradley, he says please and thank you, but his eyes hold conflict when he witnesses mistreatment. Marcus Williams, the executive chef, runs his kitchen with exacting standards, but treats his staff with dignity. He notices Elena's vocabulary, her questions about ingredient sourcing. You're educated, he states bluntly one day. Why are you really here? As Elena's second week begins, her motivation shifts from curiosity to purpose. Bradley Cooper's arrogance extends beyond rudeness. He's systematically eliminating anyone who challenges him, spreading fear through bullying and intimidation. She discovers he's redirecting foundation funds intended for scholarships toward executive retreats and publicity events bearing his name. When Elena learns that Sophia's daughter's scholarship is on Bradley's chopping block, her experiment becomes a mission. Watching Sophia work through exhaustion, remembering her own mother's struggles, Elena resolves to expose the toxic culture her husband's success has unintentionally fostered. A culture that thrives by keeping good people silent and the vulnerable invisible. Elena's first week as a waitress unfolds like a series of small wounds, each deeper than the last. During a Wednesday lunch service, she approaches a table of executives to take their order, but as she opens her mouth to speak, one of them talks over her as if she doesn't exist. She waits, then tries again, only to be interrupted once more. After the third attempt, she stands silently, pad in hand, invisible to the men discussing their golf scores. Martinez, what's taking so long with table 7? The floor manager hisses as she passes. They haven't acknowledged me enough to order, Elena replies, a foreign sensation of powerlessness washing over her. Later that day, she refills Bradley Cooper's water as he sits with 2 vice presidents. The new help isn't bad to look at, he remarks, eyes trailing up Elena's body. At least Martinez has that going for her. Not the brightest bulb, but decent eye candy for the dining room. Heat floods Elena's face as the men laugh. In her real life, she sits on the boards of 3 major corporations. Here, she's reduced to an object, discussed in front of her face as if she were deaf as well as invisible. During a quiet moment, Elena discovers expense reports left open on a tablet at an empty table. Scrolling quickly, she finds evidence of executives charging family vacations, luxury gifts, and personal items to the company. The same executives who argued fiercely against raising the hourly wage for service staff by 50 cents. You shouldn't be looking at that. David Chen's voice startles her. His expression is tense but not unkind. I was just clearing the table. Elena lies, wondering if David will report her. He hesitates, then whispers, Be careful around Bradley. He destroys people who get in his way. Before she can respond, he walks away, shoulders hunched as if carrying an invisible weight. The pattern repeats daily. Service staff blamed for executive errors, reprimanded for circumstances beyond their control, denied basic dignity. Elena builds a mental catalog of abuses, both small and significant. Her journalist's mind documenting the toxic culture metastasizing through her husband's company. On Friday, during the busiest lunch service of the week, Elena witnesses something that breaks through her observer's detachment. Sophia hurries between tables, carrying a tureen of hot soup for a department meeting. As she passes behind Executive VP Richard Tanner, he casually extends his foot into the aisle without looking up from his conversation. Sophia trips hard, unable to catch herself with her hands full. The soup flies forward, splashing across the A table, directly onto another executive's open laptop. The room falls silent as Sophia pulls herself up from the floor, her hands scraped raw, her uniform soaked with scalding liquid. "You clumsy idiot!" Tanner roars, standing so abruptly his chair crashes backward. "Look what you've done!" "I'm so sorry, sir," Sophia stammers, though Elena clearly saw Tanner's deliberate movement. "I didn't see This laptop has critical presentation files for today's investor meeting." The other executive cuts in, his voice cold with contempt. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Elena watches Sophia shrink under their verbal assault, her friend's face crumpling with humiliation and fear. Something primal rises in Elena's chest, a volatile mixture of rage and utter helplessness, unlike anything she's experienced in her privileged life. "It was an accident," Elena says, stepping forward. Mr. Tanner extended his foot into the aisle as Sophia was passing. The executives turn to her with expressions of shock that a server would contradict them. Tanner's face darkens. "Are you calling me a liar, Martinez?" The floor manager appears, pulling Sophia and Elena aside while apologizing profusely to the executives. In the kitchen, his sympathy vanishes. "Sophia, this is a final warning. One more incident, and you're terminated. And you'll be liable for the laptop replacement, approximately 2 months of your salary." "But sir," Elena protests, "it wasn't her fault. Martinez, you've been here all of 5 minutes. Keep your opinions to yourself if you want to keep this job." That night, Elena paces her penthouse, unable to settle her thoughts. When James returns home, she studies his face, searching for signs that he knows about the cruelty flourishing under his leadership. "You seem distracted," James notes, loosening his tie. "Everything okay with your project? Do you know what happens to service staff at Mercer Technologies?" she asks carefully. James looks puzzled. "They're well compensated compared to industry standards." "That's not what I'm asking. Do you know how they're treated?" "I trust my team to maintain our company values at all levels," he answers, the rehearsed response of a CEO who delegates culture to others. Elena realizes with a sinking heart that James isn't complicit. He's simply disconnected, insulated from the daily reality of his own creation. The following Monday, Bradley announces a staff efficiency review at morning briefing. Elena watches, fear spread across the faces of her co-workers as he explains that certain positions will be streamlined for operational excellence. During her break, Elena slips into an empty conference room adjacent to Bradley's office, where she can hear him meeting with HR. "Target the veterans first," Bradley instructs. "Rodriguez, Williams, anyone who's been here long enough to have decent benefits and salary increases. Performance is irrelevant. I want the expensive staff gone." After her shift, Elena stays late, helping Sophia prepare for a large breakfast service the next day. They work side by side, Elena learning about Maya's pre-med studies and Sophia's second job cleaning offices at night. "The Mercer Foundation scholarship changed our lives," Sophia shares, her eyes brightening. "Maya will be the first doctor in our family. I keep telling her, your hands will heal people instead of serving them." Elena swallows hard, knowing what's coming but unable to warn her friend. 2 days later, during an elaborate client dinner, Bradley becomes increasingly intoxicated. Elena notices his gaze following the younger female servers, his hands lingering when they serve him. When he slaps a server's backside as she walks past, Elena's restraint snaps. "Sir, please don't touch the staff," she says firmly, keeping her voice low. Bradley's eyes narrow. "Mind your own business, Martinez." His breath reeks of expensive scotch. "Unless you'd prefer my attention." "No, sir. I'd prefer professional behavior in the workplace." Bradley grabs her arm, pulling her into the service hallway. "Listen, you ungrateful immigrant. I can have you fired with one phone call. In fact, I might have a word with immigration about your papers. Martinez isn't your real name, is it?" Elena's heart pounds as he tightens his grip on her wrist, pain shooting up her arm. "Let go of me." "Do you know who I am?" Bradley hisses. "I'm practically James Mercer's right hand. The help doesn't dictate terms to me." The lady said to let her go. Marcus Williams stands at the end of the hallway, his tall frame blocking the light, eyes hard as flint. Bradley releases Elena but turns his rage toward Marcus. "Stay out of this, Williams. You're already on the chopping block. Report me if you want," Marcus replies calmly. "Some things matter more than a job."
Later that week, while organizing invoices in the office, Elena discovers files documenting how Bradley has manipulated financial reports, taking credit for initiatives started by fired employees and redirecting foundation funds toward projects
that enhance his personal profile. His fingerprints are on every toxic policy, his influence poisoning the company culture from the top down. The final blow comes when Sophia receives an official letter stating her daughter's scholarship is under review due to funding reallocation. That same day, Bradley announces the entire food service department will be outsourced to Cullinex Corp., a contractor notorious for minimum wage positions without benefits. Current staff may apply for positions with Cullinex, Bradley announces, smugly to the shocked kitchen staff. Of course, these will be entry-level positions at market-appropriate compensation. Elena watches Sophia's face crumple as she calculates what this means, losing both her job security and her daughter's future. In one cruel stroke, the injustice crystallizes Elena's resolve. Her experiment has become a moral crucible, forcing her to choose between her comfortable anonymity and the real people she now cares deeply about. As she changes out of her uniform that evening, Elena makes her decision. She can no longer be just an observer of injustice. The time for hiding is over. Banners announcing celebrating 10 years of innovation hang throughout Mercer Technologies headquarters. The executive dining room transforms into a glittering venue with champagne fountains and elaborate ice sculptures. For Elena, the anniversary celebration presents both danger and opportunity as she polishes glasses behind the bar, rehearsing what she might say when her cover inevitably shatters. "Extra staff tonight, and everyone in formal service uniforms," the manager announces. "Mr. Mercer himself will be attending, along with the board and major investors." Elena's heart races. At the mention of her husband, whom she's barely seen this week, both of them coming and going at different hours, she's overheard Bradley boasting about his presentation slot, right after James's opening remarks, where he'll unveil his operational efficiency initiative to enthusiastic applause from shareholders. What the executives don't know is that Elena has seen the complete outsourcing plans, including the cruel footnote that current staff would receive termination notices at the event's conclusion. Bradley had arranged for Sophia and other long-term employees to work the celebration, serve the executives who were eliminating their livelihoods, and then lose their jobs, a calculated humiliation designed to prevent any organized resistance. The night before the event, Elena finds Sophia in the locker room, staring at a photo of her daughter in her worn wallet. "Maya called today," Sophia says softly. "She received a letter about her scholarship being canceled effective next semester. I haven't told her about the outsourcing rumors yet." Elena sits beside her friend, their shoulders touching. "What will you do?" Sophia's eyes glisten with unshed tears, but her voice remains steady. "Start over, again. Maybe find 2 new jobs instead of just 2. Maya can take a semester off, work to save money." Her voice finally breaks. "Everything we've worked Gone in an instant, Elena reaches for Sophia's hand. What if someone could stop it? People like us don't have that power, Sophia replies, with the quiet resignation of someone who has learned life's hardest lessons repeatedly. That night, Elena makes her decision. The risks to her marriage, her reputation, even her foundation, work pale compared to the moral imperative before her. Some injustices cannot be witnessed without response. The celebration begins with glamorous guests in designer clothes mingling over champagne, served by staff in pressed uniforms. Elena moves through the crowd unseen, watching James work the room with his natural charisma. He looks happy, believing in the company he's built, oblivious to the rot spreading beneath its polished surface. James approaches the podium, his voice filling the room with genuine passion as he speaks about innovation and legacy. Our success comes from our people at every level, he says, and Elena feels the bitter irony twist inside her. As James concludes to enthusiastic applause, Bradley rises, straightening his perfectly tailored suit, a self-satisfied smile playing at his lips. Elena sees Sophia across the room, unaware she's serving drinks at her own execution. With deliberate, calm, Elena lifts a tray of champagne flutes and moves toward Bradley just as he reaches the stage steps. She times her movement perfectly, accidentally colliding with him as he turns, sending champagne cascading down his suit and shirt. The room gasps collectively. Bradley's face contorts with fury. "You stupid, worthless!" he sputters, champagne dripping from his chin. "Do you have any idea what this suit costs?" "I believe you once told me it costs more than I make in a month," Elena replies clearly. "You're fired," Bradley hisses. "And I'll make sure you're blacklisted from every restaurant in Chicago. You'll never work in service again." The room has fallen completely silent, all eyes on the confrontation. Even James has half risen from his seat, concern etched on his face, though he can't yet see Elena clearly from his position. "That won't be necessary," Elena says, her voice steady and carrying through the hushed room. She deliberately removes her apron and name tag, standing tall as she turns to face the crowd. "My name is Elena Mercer. I'm not a waitress. I'm the chairwoman of the Mercer Foundation and James's wife. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been learning exactly how this company really treats its people. The collective shock is palpable." James freezes halfway out of his chair, mouth open in astonishment. Bradley's rage transforms into horror as blood drains from his face. Around the room, executives who had belittled Elena or mistreated others, in her presence, suddenly find their shoes fascinating, while those who silently witnessed shift uncomfortably. "Elena!" James finally manages, making his way to the front of the room. "What is this?" Instead of addressing him immediately, Elena turns to survey the entire room. With quiet dignity rather than rage, she speaks words that land like precise surgical strikes. "I watched Richard Tanner deliberately trip Sophia Rodriguez, causing her to spill soup on a laptop, then threatened to take 2 months of her salary as punishment." She points, and Tanner shrinks in his seat. "I've discovered expense reports showing family vacations charged to company accounts, while staff raises were denied for budget constraints. I've endured Bradley Cooper making degrading comments about my body while I stood right beside him, unable to respond without risking my job." Elena's voice remains measured, but emotion vibrates beneath each word. "I was raised by a single mother who worked as a hotel housekeeper. I waited tables to put myself through college. I know what it means to be treated as invisible." She turns to face her husband directly. "James, the company you built, the values you believe in, are being corrupted from within by people who care only about power and status." Tonight, Bradley planned to announce the outsourcing of our entire food service staff, forcing dedicated employees to reapply for their own jobs at lower wages without benefits, while simultaneously cutting the scholarship program that helps their children access education. The room remains utterly silent as James processes this information, his expression shifting from confusion to deep concern. After a long moment, he steps forward, taking the microphone. "I want to thank my wife for her courage," he says, voice rough with emotion. "I've clearly failed to maintain oversight of our company culture. Tonight, instead of celebration, we need accountability." He pauses. "I'm announcing an immediate full investigation into these allegations, and to our service staff, particularly Sophia and others Elena has mentioned. I offer my personal apology." Bradley, recovering from his shock, steps forward. "James, this is completely distorted. Your wife has obviously misinterpreted standard business operations. She's being emotional. I have documentation," Elena interrupts calmly. "Spreadsheets tracking diverted foundation funds. Emails discussing targeting long-term employees regardless of performance." "I can confirm this," a voice calls out. David Chen stands, hands trembling slightly but chin raised. "I've been tracking Mr. Cooper's financial manipulations for months but was afraid to come forward. I have complete records." Other voices join in, a server describing sexual harassment, an accounting clerk confirming expense report fraud. The dam has broken, truth flooding into the carefully maintained artificial environment. Bradley looks wildly around the room, finding only accusation or avoidance in every face. "This is absurd. I've driven record profits. I've made this company what it is." "Security, please escort Mr. Cooper from the building," James says quietly. "His access is revoked pending investigation." As security approaches, Bradley's face twists with disbelief. "You can't do this to me. Do you know how many compromises I've made for this company? The things I've done to protect your profit margins?" Two security officers take his arms, leading him toward the exit as he continues shouting about his contributions and threatening lawsuits. The room watches in stunned silence as the man who wielded so much power is reduced to impotent rage. James crosses to where Sophia stands, frozen in shock. He extends his hand to her. "Ms. Rodriguez, I believe we have a great deal to discuss about your daughter's scholarship and your future with our company. The real Mercer Technologies, not the distortion it had become." Across the room, Elena catches Marcus's eye. The chef gives her a small, respectful nod of acknowledgement. Nearby, David Chen stands a little straighter, as if a great weight has lifted from his shoulders. Elena feels a complex tangle of emotions: vindication, uncertainty about her marriage, and profound relief that her privilege could finally serve a purpose beyond comfort. The truth had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone willing to become invisible to finally see it. The morning after the celebration, Mercer Technologies headquarters hums with unprecedented energy. Employees gather in clusters, sharing stories they'd previously kept hidden. Elena's revelation has ripped away the veil of silence, exposing the toxic culture that had festered beneath the company's innovative surface. James moves swiftly, turning the scheduled board meeting into an emergency session on corporate culture. By week's end, Bradley Cooper and 4 other executives are terminated with cause, their company credentials revoked, their access to buildings denied. Financial audits confirm the depth of Bradley's corruption, foundation funds diverted, expenses manipulated, careers destroyed to consolidate his power. "We build technology to solve problems, yet we created our own internal crisis," James admits during an all-staff meeting. His voice carries through speakers to every floor, including the kitchen where Sophia and Marcus stand listening, still processing their unexpected salvation. From today forward, Mercer Technologies will measure success not just by innovation and profit, but by how we treat each person who contributes to our vision. James announces the formation of an employee advocacy board with representatives from every department and level: maintenance workers alongside developers, cafeteria staff alongside financial analysts. The outsourcing plans are publicly shredded, replaced by improved contracts with benefits exceeding industry standards. The message resonates clearly through every corner of the building. Dignity is non-negotiable. David Chen, his quiet integrity finally recognized, accepts leadership of a new corporate culture initiative. His first action is to remove the separate entrances for executives and service staff, a symbolic wall demolished to build a unified company. In the Mercer penthouse, Elena awaits her husband with uncertainty. Their reunion after the gala had been brief, overshadowed by urgent corporate matters requiring James's immediate attention. When he finally returns home, exhaustion lines his face, but his eyes hold a clarity that's been missing for years. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asks quietly, sitting beside her on their balcony overlooking the city. "Would you have truly understood, without seeing it yourself?" Elena's voice holds no accusation, only honest inquiry. "When was the last time you noticed how someone treated a server, a cleaner, a person with no power over your success?" James's silence answers more honestly than words could. "I built something I believed in, then stopped paying attention to what it was becoming," he finally admits. "I delegated culture to people who saw kindness as weakness. I questioned whether the company still reflected the values that made me fall in love with you," Elena confesses, tears finally breaking through her composure. "I feared what power had done to us both." James takes her hand, his grip tightening as if anchoring himself. "Thank you for being brave enough to show me the truth, even when it hurt." Their marriage faces a necessary recalibration, trust rebuilt, on a foundation of shared values reaffirmed through crisis. Across town, in a modest apartment, James and Elena sit with Sophia and her daughter Maya. The young woman's eyes widen as they explain not just the reinstatement of her scholarship, but the creation of the Sophia Rodriguez Service Worker Education Fund, a permanent program for children of service staff across all Mercer facilities. "Mom always told me dignity matters more than titles," Maya says, squeezing her mother's hand. "Now I understand why." Sophia accepts the offered management position, overseeing staff welfare across company facilities. Her first day, she walks through the front entrance alongside executives, her employee badge opening every door. The story leaks to the press, first as business gossip, then as headline news. Billionaire's wife goes undercover to expose corporate abuse captures public imagination, igniting conversations about workplace dignity in boardrooms worldwide. Competing tech companies, fearing similar exposés, begin reviewing their own practices, creating a ripple effect of corporate self-examination. 3 months later, the executive dining room no longer exists. In its place stands Mercer Commons, a space where administrative assistants share tables with department heads. Maintenance workers enjoy lunch alongside software architects. Elena moves through the room, stopping at different tables, genuinely interested in voices previously silenced. Marcus Williams now divides his time between running the company kitchen and directing a new culinary training program for disadvantaged youth. "You've given me purpose beyond preparing food," he tells Elena, as they review the program's success. "Now I'm changing lives through it." David Chen, once too afraid to speak against injustice, leads seminars on ethical leadership for all management levels. The transformation in his confidence stands as testament to what becomes possible when fear is replaced by empowerment. Bradley Cooper sits alone in his luxury apartment, surrounded by evidence of former privilege, as another job application receives a polite rejection. His reputation has become toxic in the industry he once dominated. As he stares at his reflection in a darkened window, something new flickers in his eyes. The beginning of humility, perhaps, or at least recognition of his failures. His story isn't finished, merely entering a painful chapter of necessary growth. On a typical Tuesday, Elena enters the company restaurant wearing neither disguise nor designer clothes, but simple business attire appropriate for her foundation, work. She greets each staff member by name, remembering details of their lives shared during her undercover days. She is neither pretending to be invisible nor using visibility as power. She simply exists as herself, a woman who has experienced both sides of the service dynamic and chosen empathy. James joins her, having just completed his mandatory week working in the mailroom, part of his new policy requiring executives to work frontline positions annually. His hands bear paper cuts, his perspective irreversibly altered. Together they observe the transformed space. Executives asking rather than demanding, service workers offering ideas rather than just coffee, human dignity prioritized alongside market position. The fear and hierarchy that once poisoned daily interactions has been replaced by collaboration built on mutual respect. One person choosing to see the invisible changed everything, Elena reflects, watching a company remade through courage and compassion. As we pull back from the transformed Mercer Technologies, where executives and service staff now share tables and conversations as equals, Elena's voice reaches out directly to us, bridging the gap between story and reality. Look around you tomorrow. Notice the people who serve your coffee, clean your office, deliver your packages. Do you see them, truly see them, as fellow human beings with dreams, struggles and dignity equal to your own? Or do they blend into the background of your day, their humanity invisible to you? The measure of our character isn't found in how we treat those with power, but in how we acknowledge the humanity in everyone we encounter, especially those society has taught us to overlook. Each of us creates the culture around us through countless small choices every day. The choice to see, to acknowledge, to respect. I had to become invisible to truly see, but you don't have to go undercover in your own life. Simply pay attention. Who might be suffering in plain sight around you? What small kindness might make a profound difference to someone today? Who needs to be truly seen and heard? Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. A simple acknowledgement of their humanity costs you nothing but might mean everything to them. Has someone in a service position ever made you feel invisible? Or have you witnessed someone being treated as less than because of their job? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about how we can all work toward a world where dignity isn't determined by job title or income bracket. If this story touched you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can create a culture of true respect, one interaction at a time. The view returns one last time to Mercer Technologies. Elena and James walk through the hallways, greeting everyone by name, from executives to maintenance staff, with equal warmth and genuine interest. Their transformation from disconnected leaders to engaged humans models the change they wish to see reflected in the world beyond their company walls.